In this video, I decided to talk about a very specific topic, which I would even say is some kind of life direction that many girls choose, and not only girls. And this is the topic of becoming the best version of yourself. I wanted to talk in this video about why it doesn't work and why it's even destructive for you. And at first, it actually sounds pretty good, like waking up at 5 a.m., drinking lemon water, working out, reading, meditating, learning languages, and blah blah blah. And honestly, that sounds completely normal. Like, growing as a person is absolutely normal, and wanting to change things is great, and taking care of yourself is great too. But there is another side to this idea. If you dig a little deeper into the phrase, I want to become the best version of myself, you will usually find something else underneath it. And this idea that the version of you that exists right now is somehow not good enough and needs to be improved. So it's like in your head there is this image, this ideal version of you, the confident version, I don't know, the beautiful version, productive, the one who wakes up every morning, works out, as I said, always knows what she wants, never doubts. Then there's the real you, the version of you that exists right now, and between the real you and the ideal version of you, there is a huge gap. And inside that gap, you're constantly trying to catch up to this perfect version of yourself. And honestly, it's so exhausting for your psyche, and for some people, endlessly working on themselves becomes normal. Constantly improving themselves, constantly trying to become better every single day. But sometimes it feels like it's coming from this place of like, please don't let me actually meet the real version of myself. Like you need to get to this better version of yourself as fast as possible. I think that's really my main point here, because I think sometimes self-improvement becomes the inability to stop improving yourself, because self-improving can actually become self-destruction. And very often behind phrases like I'm becoming the best version of myself, they are actually completely different messages underneath. As I said, for example, I'm not allowed to be myself right now, or I need to become someone else, someone better urgently, or I cannot be with the real version of myself that exists right now. So I constantly need to improve myself. And like I already said, inside that gap, there's usually this feeling of I didn't do enough again. Or for example, I'm still not close enough to my ideal self, and yeah, and blah blah blah. And important, social media makes this so much worse, because everything you see online is basically just, I would say fake, but it's not fake, but it's not real life. It's not 100% life. It's important to understand that, but because our brain are sneaky, and they automatically start comparing us to what we see online, and then it becomes, oh, I need a glow up, I need my best era, I need to, I don't know, reinvent myself. But for what? Because deep down, people do not want to feel less than compared to what they see on Instagram, on social media. And we also need to understand that almost nobody posts everything. Of course, there are some influencers who talk about anxiety, being overwhelmed, being exhausted, I don't know, struggling mentally and stuff like that. But most of the time, I think 90% of the time, people post what turned out good. And me too, of course. And we look at it and think, oh wow, she she has a perfect life and blah blah blah, but we actually have no idea what's behind all of that. And I see a lot now, and honestly the word ever has started annoying me because I keep seeing the same captions over and over again, like this is my productive era, this is my glow up era, this is my feminine era. And I get it, I understand that this is a trend, I totally get it, but sometimes it feels like people are constantly trying to rebrand their personality and they do not allow themselves to just exist in the moment, not allowed to just be whoever they are in a moment. It's like you constantly need to upgrade yourself, reinvent yourself, become a newer version of yourself. And I also wanted to mention self-compassion because there is actually really interesting research about it. Because self-compassion shows something important. People change better through support, because online it's very easy to sell the idea of you're not that great yet, but if you add 5 more habits then you will finally become better, and it's much easier to sell than for example, you're already okay as you are and you don't need to urgently fix yourself, you don't need to completely become someone else. And when you approach yourself with more support and more self-compassion, you often grow in a much healthier, I would say, and more natural way. And I'm not saying people shouldn't grow in or improve themselves. Of course, try new things, like grow, learn some, I don't know, languages, do things. But my main point is that I really want people to stop living with this constant feeling that the real version of themselves is somehow not enough. Because honestly, a lot of people right now aren't even really living, they just trying to create a better version or trying to avoid facing who they are, who they really are. Anyway, I think you get what I mean, I hope, and I've already repeated this point a lot. I also wanted to say that very often this idea of becoming the best version of yourself comes from shame, or from this feeling that there's something wrong with you, that you are not attractive enough, not interesting enough, and so on. And in that moment, a person starts living as if they constantly need to fix themselves. There is also another side to this constant self-improvement. For example, anxiety and control, because when a person feels very anxious, especially if they tend to hyper control everything, they start trying to build the perfect life system and the perfect routine, the perfect habits. And the person might not even realize it, but it's almost like the mind is telling them that please, no, please, just create the perfect system and then you will finally feel calm. But honestly, that's a whole separate topic. Of course, the perfect version of yourself doesn't actually exist. You need to understand it. Imagine the moment you finally reach some version of your ideal self, and then your brain immediately raises the bar again. So it goes, okay, now this is not enough anymore. You need to do even better. And so the person just keeps running in circle like a hamster wheel. There's also something really interesting about the way people call certain things discipline when it's actually not discipline at all, and I want to talk about this. For example, maybe you're constantly improving yourself, waking up early, everything is perfectly scheduled, super disciplined, But very often behind that, discipline is just an inner critic, and a lot of people even call their inner critic motivation. So it's very, very important to ask yourself, are these habits and this discipline actually helping you, or are you just pressuring yourself all the time? Or, for example, ask yourself, do you even allow yourself to rest? Now, one more thing I wanted to say, this whole self-improvement industry makes an enormous amount of money from the exact same pattern. They keep selling you one idea over and over again. You're not enough. You're not good enough. Buy this course. Add more habits. Do a few more face masks, and then finally everything will be okay. Maybe I'm speaking a bit dramatically here, but I think sometimes that kind of directness is necessary just to actually stop and think, how are you spending your days? What are you thinking about all the time? What does your inner critic say to you? How do you actually treat yourself, and blah blah blah. So yeah, I think I'll stop here because I'm tired. So if this was interesting to you, leave some kind of comments. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for staying until the end. Thank you.